So it's hard to believe, but the end of the year is pretty much here. And this year was a really strange one when it comes to new releases, because first, second quarter, beginning of the year, we got hammered with a bunch of new releases, like all at once. And I remember it was to the point where I was picking all of these up and new releases were coming in, and then I was having to make the decisions of which ones I was going to try first and do my first impressions on and release to you guys, because I have multiple at once, right? It was just a lot to process. You know, we really just had a big influx of new releases, and then kind of come towards the middle of the year, kind of getting closer to third quarter, and now fourth quarter, it's been completely dead silent. And I don't think I've done a first impressions on a new release for, I don't know, maybe 3 months or so, maybe 4 months. I think we had, the latest one was Coach Open Road, and that was just kind of a straggler there towards the very end. But all of the other big brands put their stuff out, and it's been dead silent. So it's a little bit weird. And so I figured I would be safe to go ahead and do this video now. I don't think we're going to be getting anything else this year. This is my official list of the 10 absolute best new releases of 2022. And another reason why this year was a little bit odd was because we didn't really get anything new. Now, we had a bunch of new releases, but a lot of these new releases were eau de parfum and parfum flankers. And for a lot of people, that was kind of a letdown because, you know, not everyone is super into the flanker sort of thing in that regard. For me, I'm really all about eau de parfum and parfum flankers. And I think a lot of these here were kind of overdue. You know, we're talking about fragrances that came out 20 years ago, some, and are just now getting a proper eau de parfum concentration. That's pretty crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and run through these. I will link them down below. Some have started to work their way onto discounters, others not quite there yet. So for a few of these, you'll be able to save a little bit of money off of retail. I'm also doing a $1,000 giveaway over on the community tab, and I'm also posting deals over there every day as well. So if you want to get some things for a low price, some rare discontinued stuff, that's where you want to be. Let's get things kicked off with number 10, Dolce & Gabbana Light Blue Italian Love. So this one has bergamot, grapefruit, ozonic notes, violet leaf. Now, very similar to Forever, which came out in 21. The reason why this made it in the video and the reason why I really like this one is because the bergamot supplementation really comes into play here, and it balances out the grapefruit a lot more. The grapefruit accord in Forever especially is one that a lot of people struggled with, and it made it a little bit polarizing because it's so unbearing and just so strong. With this one, it's a little bit more mild because there's more balance, and I find this to be actually just probably the more balanced one between the two. And because of that, I think it's really nice. And this is the type of thing that will give you something different. Now, again, granted, this is very similar to Forever, so it's not brand new. This DNA is not brand new, exclusive to this year. But in terms of just having a new style of fragrance DNA, this is going to be really one of the few that we've gotten within this year and last year. Okay, at number 9, we have L'Homme Eau de Parfum by Yves Saint Laurent. So believe it or not, L'Homme has been out for quite some time now. Honestly, I can't even know off the top of my head. La Nuit de L'Homme was what, 2009, 2010? So the original L'Homme, 2005 off the top of my head, if I had to throw a number out, somewhere within that range probably. I'm sure you guys will let me know down below. So it's been a while, and we've had a ton of L'Homme flankers, right? A bunch of them, but never an actual standalone eau de parfum until now. We've had a L'Intense and a Le Parfum and all of these and that sort of thing, but not just a L'Homme EDP, and we finally got one. So that's kind of what I was talking about, just a weird year. They're just kind of bringing this back from the dead and finally giving it a proper EDP flanker. This one here, it has some cognac, like a bit of a booziness, some woods going on, a bitter orange. This still maintains that original gentlemanly L'Homme DNA, but with a little bit more of a mature nighttime feel. Now again, the original is still very mature, but this one kind of takes it to the next level. And if you kind of picture L'Homme Eau de Toilette as a nice daytime work scent, this one you could layer right over top of it in the evening before you go out with friends. It's just a really nice one, and I actually really like it a lot. I think it's a great example of an EDP flanker done right. It's still maintaining that DNA, but making it different enough to warrant a purchase. Moving into number 8, we have Armani Stronger With You Oud. So, believe it or not, they actually released 2 of these this year, which is a little bit odd, I will say. Stronger With You Only and Stronger With You Oud. Now, this is technically an exclusive edition, so it kind of makes sense because in their world, they're probably separate. Stronger With You Only is probably intended for the open market, whereas this one is going to be, again, a little bit more exclusive, probably limited to certain areas in the world. You could still get it here in the US if you go through like FRAGRANCEBUY.CA, but for the most part, this one is going to be generally a little bit harder to get and more expensive. Now this one has oud, it has vanilla, and it has lavender. It's the only 3 notes they give you, but again, you still get that Stronger With You DNA, some of the chestnut, the tonka bean, the sweetness overall, right? You still get all of that. The oud is very subtle, but it is prominent, and it gives it a little bit more of a refined and upscale smell. You know, the original DNA is very youthful and playful, but this kind of brings it to the next level, and I think opens up a new door for people who just want a little bit less overwhelming sweetness, and you just kind of want a little bit more substance to it. I think it's a really well done flanker. Moving on to number 7, we have Terre Eau Givree. So this essentially is taking the role of Eau Fresh, which has been discontinued due to the constricting IFRA regulations. We had a few others actually this year that were discontinued and or reformulated due to those. And instead of them just reformulating Eau Fresh and acting like nothing happened, they discontinued it and released this instead. So actually, I respect that approach. Eau Fresh is loved by a lot of people, so it did let some people down, myself included. That was kind of a heartbreaking thing to see that one go, but this one just might even be better. So it has citron, it has juniper berries, and some nice woods in here. Still tying back to that original Terre DNA, but then bringing in some freshness. You get this overwhelming bright sparkle from the citron here. The juniper berries adding a bit of an aromatic feel to it overall. You got a lot of a masculine depth from the woods going on in here. So very much something you'll be familiar with if you are familiar with Terre and even Eau Fresh. It's just lighter and fresher and overall easier to wear, and it smells amazing in the high heat. Moving on, we have Armani Code Parfum here. This is going to be at number 6. So I really, for whatever reason, I just wasn't thinking about another Code flanker this year. We have the Eau de Parfum and that sort of thing, and Code and Absolute and Profumo. Code and Absolute and Profumo. You guys know what I'm saying, right? We've had a lot of flankers, and this was kind of the last thing I was thinking of. And this got launched, and I was immediately pumped because I love this DNA. I love this line. And when I saw the updated bottle, I thought that was really cool. Nice magnetic cap here and all of that good stuff. I would imagine they're probably going to switch the whole line over to this, which would make sense given that if you look at pretty much any retailer and the official Armani website, most of them are completely sold out. They've also been running Absolute and Profumo and even the EDP on pretty heavy sales lately, so it makes sense. This one has tonka bean, of course, to a pretty heavy extent, iris, and even a little bit of a fresh kind of bergamot pop off the top. But this is introducing the iris, which is really what I like about it. So there are some similarities to the Eau de Parfum, but it's definitely not one-to-one. It doesn't have the prominent vanilla or the suede like the EDP does. The iris gives this one a little bit of a different approach on that dusty, powdery smell. I find it to actually perform really good as well. During my testing, it's one where I would spray on, and on my skin it would last a long time, and on my clothing it would last well over a day. I mean, I would pick that shirt up the next day, and I'd be able to smell it pretty easily. So great longevity all around. It is obviously a parfum, and so just ended up being a really nice flanker if you want an even more classy take and updated take on the Code DNA. Again, if Code Absolute and Code Profumo are too youthful for you and the EDT is outdated and maybe the EDP was missing something, the Parfum might have that solution for you. Now we're breaking into the top 5 with Hugo Boss The Scent. This is the newest Le Parfum. So this one has iris, it's got maninka fruit, woody notes or woods, and some leather in here. So again, guys, when it has iris in it, if it's done right, it ends up in the videos, right? And this is really nice. The Maninka fruit is unlike anything else. I mean, this line has that accord on lock, and really all of them utilize it in a really nice way and in a different way. Here in this instance, they're not throwing in coffee or booze or anything like that. They're giving us a nice kind of creamy, sweet, but slightly powdery iris accord, a little bit of a masculine leather undertone to balance this one out, because when you're tossing in the Maninka fruit and the iris, both of those can kind of push this one over to the more unisex kind of sweet direction. So the leather brings it back, and it just smells really, really good. This is perfect for wintertime, very addicting, very cozy, very warming. Definitely a great flanker that I did really like when it first came out, but now that we've had some proper cold weather for it and I've been wearing it, I've been liking it more and more each time. And really, that's kind of how it goes in general with me for these, the scent fragrances. The more I wear them, the more I get addicted to them. Breaking into number 4, Acqua di Gio Eau de Parfum. So in the beginning, when I was talking about, something that's been out for 20 years and just now got a proper Eau de Parfum flanker, this is what I was talking about. Acqua di Gio EDT, right? 20 plus years, actually. Of course, from there, they've had Profumo, which is a parfum. They've had Profondo. They've had Essenza, but never an actual standard Acqua di Gio EDP until now. So this one here, essentially the way I describe it, and I'll make this quick, is it kind of combines a few of the others. So it combines, of course, the original. It brings in a little bit of the mineral notes from Profondo, a little bit of the slight, mature, dark mysteriousness from Profumo, and then its own little twist. So in terms of the note breakdown, the sea notes, the mineral notes, the orange, the clary sage, that sort of thing, aromatic. And then there is almost a little bit of a slight kind of earthy smokiness, somewhat alluding to Profumo. So it's kind of a mix of a bunch of things. But ultimately what this one does at the end of the day is it creates an updated Acqua di Gio EDT. It brings it back to life. It makes it even more mature. And again, the way I describe it is, if you grew up wearing Acqua di Gio EDT in high school and you now since then have a career and a family and your taste has developed since then, this is the type of thing you would graduate to, because it's going to be more suited to where you're at in life right now. Okay, top 3. Tom Ford Noir Extreme. This is the Parfum, of course. So here's why, and that's because, so you're probably wondering, why did this jump up so high? And the reason why is because ever since I first got my bottle of Noir Extreme, the Eau de Parfum, it's never performed that well on me. And that's kind of disheartening when you're spending the money. I don't think that every fragrance has to have beast mode performance, and even every expensive fragrance, it doesn't have to have beast mode performance. But I was expecting a bit more out of the Eau de Parfum. A lot of people, it's kind of split. Some people, they get great performance, others not so much. And I fell into the category of it just didn't work well on my skin when it came to longevity. But the scent itself is really, really nice. It's a great upscale gourmand, and that's not something you get every day. A lot of gourmands for men will lean in the playful and young side, but Tom Ford knows how to do it, and they made something that kind of has a little bit of a playful edge, but still something that you could wear in a more dressed up situation. And so, long story short, the Parfum comes out. They're introducing a little bit of leather, so it's actually a little bit more masculine, but ultimately it's longer lasting by a pretty heavy extent here. Better longevity, even better projection in some instances. It tends to have a little bit more body when it comes to withstanding the cold. As it's been cold here and I've been wearing it, it has a little bit more projection during that time. So I think this is kind of what we needed, and if you've been struggling with the performance of the EDP, this will fix it for you. Again, there are a few differences in smell, mainly the leather here coming through stronger, so it's going to be pick your poison. Do you want better performance, or do you want just that OG smell? That'll be up to you. And number 2, probably no surprise, but it's Azzaro, the Most Wanted Parfum. Another parfum, right? It's Year of the Parfums. But this one is different. It's quite a bit different than Azzaro, the Most Wanted, and Wanted by Night for that matter. And basically the difference here is off the top you get this almost fizzy grape soda smell. And it kind of reminds me a little bit of something like Dunhill Icon. Now, I'm talking about the opening and that kind of grape soda texture. That's the only similarity between those two. And it's interesting, and it's something I picked up on pretty quickly. And even now, again, when I smell it, I spray it, it just has this fizzy grape soda smell. It really is nice. But then not long after it settles down on your skin, you start getting into the bourbon vanilla. So you get a hint of a booziness, and then they just list off woody notes. Primarily, you're gonna have a mixture of a creamier, sweeter sandalwood, and then a little bit more of a masculine, spicy cedar wood to kind of add some balance to that. But ultimately, it's gonna be on the sweeter side, not as overwhelmingly sweet in the dry down as the Most Wanted, and maybe even Wanted by Night for some people, but it's a different take on the DNA that I really do like. And I think this one is overall probably a little bit more unique than the Most Wanted. It just really comes across nice and something a bit different. And number one, I'm sure you guys saw this one coming from a mile away, especially because I haven't talked about it yet. This one was almost one of those too good to be true type of things. When I saw it announced, saw the picture of the bottle first, I'm like, I don't know what this is going to smell like, but that bottle has me sold. And when I saw the note breakdown, whiskey, iris, chestnut, vanilla, yeah, I knew I had to get this stuff as soon as I could. And as soon as it showed up on the Givenchy website for, I think this is a 60 ml bottle, I just went ahead and got it. 100 mils were sold out, not available, but I didn't care. It's Gentleman Reserve Privé by Givenchy. I mean, this is it right here, guys. The bottle, the camera doesn't do this bottle justice. In this smaller bottle, it's not as prominent. But I mean, look at pictures of this stuff online. It looks gorgeous. I mean, man, this is so good. I mean, I already gave you the notes. Very similar to the Eau de Parfum, but with the booziness and some more gourmand aspects from the chestnut. I mean, this stuff is amazing. And if you are a fan of sweet iris fragrances, this is kind of the pinnacle almost, because it combines a bunch of different things. Something that, even Dior Homme Intense lacks, and Valentino Uomo Intense, and even Dior Homme Parfum lacks, right? It's a different take, but it works amazing. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for me. 10 of the best releases of 2022. Let me know what your favorites were down below. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.